Hi, folks. Welcome back to Heard It on the Axe, the East Coast premier music talk show. I am right now joined by five-time Grammy winner, 15-time Grammy nominee, Robert Cray. Robert, how are you doing?
I'm great, Rich. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And I have to tell you, it's an honor to talk to you. It's truly an honor to talk to you. The show is based around music. Both myself and the co-host are musicians. And I remember when you were the new face, the new lifeblood that was in blues music, and it's just so wonderful to see the career that you've created. I want to congratulate you on that, and I want to congratulate you on releasing your 16th studio album this August.
Well, thank you so very much. It's nice to still be doing it. Yeah, thanks.
It's got to be great to still be doing it. And like I say, I remember Still Hot Smoking Gun being the new sound of blues. You and Steve Ray Vaughan and people like that being the new sound of blues. And I just want to pick your brain a little bit, and you could, because at the time that stuff was coming out, I mean, music, there was a dynamic shift in music where it was, a lot of really commercial pop stuff, a lot of, synthesizer sounding music, a lot of keyboard based music. It had to be really refreshing to just be able to break through with some straight ahead blues stuff.
It was really refreshing to hear ourselves on major radio, and then also at the same time, the MTV, scene was just breaking through. And we were fortunate enough, and like you mentioned, with Stevie Ray Vaughan as well, and a lot of other bands that were starting to play more roots-oriented music were getting a lot of airplay. So it was a great time.
Yeah, it really was. That was a real kind of a renaissance, I guess, a small little minor renaissance, because the Thunderbirds were getting some popularity then. I mean, there was just a lot of really cool music being played, and it was pretty neat. And like I say, it's funny because I think that you became the prototype for everybody past you. Your influence on, I believe, if I had to pick one person who grabbed blues and pushed it in a different direction, much like the Beatles did with popular rock and roll, it would have to be you, because after you, everybody was kind of doing that Robert Cray sound, trying to emulate you, it seemed like.
Huh. Well, I know that the thing that we contributed to a lot of it was the fact that we were putting elements of rhythm and blues into the music, because there's a lot of other bands who were doing more straight ahead blues than we were. But the way we grew up in the music that we listened to had us playing R&B and sticking, a little bit of gospel and a little bit of jazz as well as rock into it all.
And you grew up in Columbus, Georgia?
Well, I was born there, but I was only there for like 11 months. My dad was in the Army, and so we moved around quite a bit, but we spent a lot of time in the Pacific Northwest near Tacoma, Washington.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah. And so I just kind of trickled on down the coast when Richard Cousins, our current bass player, and myself, we started the band. We moved from Tacoma down to Eugene, Oregon, a college town, and started the band there.
That's really interesting, because I would picture the East Coast of the country being more receptive to blues, and the West Coast being less receptive. So that's very interesting.
Oh, there's a whole West Coast scene. When we started the band in Eugene, Oregon in '74, there was already a well-established blues band, taking names. And it was a band called the Nighthawks, which featured a lead singer by the name of Curtis Salgado. Right.
So you got to talk to me a little bit. I got to ask you. I hope these aren't too embarrassing, but I got to talk about the Otis Day and the Nights thing, which I don't even know a lot of people know. How did that come about?
Well, I was living in Eugene, Oregon at the time.
Okay.
We'd just gotten off a set, and a lady asked me if I would like to be in a movie, and it was at the end of the night, it's like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I said, yeah, sure, right. But then I did give her my information, and a couple months down the road, I received a phone call when I was out on the road down in Northern California, and she asked me if I could make it back for rehearsals on Sunday, because I'd just finished up. She called me Saturday afternoon, and I was finishing up Saturday evening, and I made it back for wardrobe, and we were on the set for this unnamed movie at the time, as far as extras are concerned, for the next 3 days.
And as the story plays out, and for the listeners that are out there, Otis Day and the Knights is the band that's playing in the frat house during the movie Animal House, and it's that's so cool. My other one that I have to ask you about is your involvement in Hail Hail Rock and Roll, which
right.
You watch that movie, and I mean that had to be a pretty amazing. That was still relatively early in your career as far as everything taken off, correct?
It's true. It was before Strong Persuader was released, and I was asked to be in the movie through Keith Richards, who had he was already a fan, as well as Eric Clapton, of our music. And it was funny because when I saw Keith when we got to St. Louis before rehearsals, we all got together, the bandmates got together, and we were listening to music and songs that we were going to do. And in all actuality, I was received. I let them know what songs I picked out of Chuck Berry's to do, but then we all got together and we were going to go over all the material. And he put in his cassette tape of Strong Persuader, and I said to him, "How did you get that?" Because it wasn't released yet. He goes, "I'm Rolling Stone. I've got everything."
That's awesome, though.
But what really happened is the record company sent him an advanced copy, so it was great.
So he was a fan to begin with. What? How nerve-wracking was it? I mean, when I look at that stage up there, it's like, good Lord. I mean, that had to be nerve-wracking just being around all those legends. And then I don't know if the movie plays it off as there's a lot of tension between Keith and Chuck, and that Chuck was kind of being impossible. I don't know if that was really going on or if it was, just for the movie for dramatic effect.
That was really going on.
Was it really?
And as far as like the rest of us, I mean, it would, being around people like Keith and Eric and all that. I mean, they really make you feel comfortable around. To be around and be a part of everything that we were trying to accomplish. So that was great. But still, you're nervous and all that a little bit. But they did their best to try to make me feel comfortable. But with Keith and Chuck, it was as you saw it in the movie, and I think a lot of that stems from Chuck's mistrust, of business, for the longest time. And even though Keith is devoted to Chuck Berry and his music, still Chuck couldn't let it go, and it was like watching a father and this, father and son bickering all the time. Keith trying to do right by Chuck Berry, It's pretty interesting.
That's the best analogy that you can give. I think that is that's such a true analogy when you're watching it. You can't help, like you say, you can understand Chuck's apprehension, about everything. But you can't help but feel bad for Keith, especially at the end of the film where he's just exasperated and he's like, I'm glad I did it because I worship Chuck Berry, but I would never do it again.
Yeah, it was a great thing. I think Keith did a great job. It was a great thing for him. He and Taylor Hackford doing it, it was great.
So, is that around the time where because you used to open for Clapton? I mean, after the big hit, you were all of a sudden you were thrust in the spotlight, opening for everybody under the sun. It seemed like.
Yeah.
You had a lot of nerve-wracking experiences. You know that, Robert? I mean, a normal musician would crumble with these nerve-wracking experiences that you've had.
It's you just close your eyes.
Yeah.
It's like it's like being in a dream. But I've had a lot of great opportunities, like you mentioned, and been in some great situations. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So the relationship with Clapton started around that same time. Hail Hail Rock and Roll.
I'm trying to piece it all together at this point. I think that I had met Eric before. Yeah, I had met Eric before. Yeah, I think that the first time I met Eric was because we did Hail Hail Rock and Roll before Strong Persuader came out. And Strong Persuader came out in, I think, 86 or something like that. And I think we had done a tour with Eric prior to that. Yeah.
Okay. 86 that came out. Wow. I would have pegged that. I would have pegged that one a little bit earlier in my head, but my head's a mess, anyways. And I'm really excited about you coming in and playing the Tralf here in town. Um, it's an awesome room, and the people are going to love you. Well, what do people expect now from Robert Cray? You never seem to stop. You just keep moving forward. Um,
Well, we have, like you mentioned, we have a new album that's coming out at the end of August, and it's called Nothing But Love, and we've been playing songs from it. I mean, obviously we can't play the whole album because then we wouldn't be able to play some of our older tapes, but what we are doing is, like, we've gotten rid of the set list and we just work, off of a master list that we keep just in case we can't think of anything really quickly, but we don't use a set list. We go on with an idea of the first song, and then after that we just call them, and that way it just keeps things kind of loose and free.
Real spontaneous. I dig that. I dig that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Can you hang with me? Can you do another segment with me? I got to go to a commercial break. Can you hang and do one more segment? I know you're busy.
No, that's all right. Yeah, I'll hang on.
All right, we're going to take a small commercial break, and on the other side, we're going to talk about the new album.